Hello everyone, it's me Con from Seafoam Game, back again to do an unscripted memories after who knows how long. I feel like I filmed one, never uploaded, and I know I did have the Pokemon anime one, which I'm still gonna edit by the end of the year, I promise. I always say this in every episode now, I have a full-time job, so much time. Weekends are the only film time I have at this moment. Like I can edit on the weekdays, it's just filming is kind of a pain, especially if the weather doesn't cooperate or the lighting's not good. But I finally got the time to do this, even though it's almost been a month later. So today, pardon my acne, I can finally talk about the fun trip I had to Galloping Ghost Arcade. As those who may know, in the recent episode earlier this year, I've always wanted to visit the Galloping Ghost Arcade, and anytime I go to a big arcade or a cool arcade, I like to document it or just take photos so I can use in future Eternal Memories episodes. The one I've been adding since March has actually used a lot of photographs from my local arcade for the game in question, so I'm excited to add that all together. All the filming's done. Gonna be finding out before the end of the month, I hope, and then I can get some episodes knocked out after another until the season finale, I say, next year. I'm gonna shuffle the order of episodes a bit though, because there's one I want to get out before next month's Pokemon game. So here's hoping I can do stuff on time for once. But yeah, I also have a community tab now, so I don't have to keep using these as updates to tell you guys, hey, this is when so and so's coming out, this is why I haven't done stuff in a while. So that's great, honestly. I got to be 1,000 subs to do that, and at this rate, I don't think I will be until I make more content. So let's make more content and make you guys enjoy. The last video I made was the Little Tail Bronx Unscripted Memories, and that was tons of fun for me. And I'm just glad a lot of people liked it. It was over 100 views, lots of likes. My friends who watched it said they really liked it and liked my passion. And I got the game since then. I filmed an unboxing and I made a bit of a skit fest, so it's been a bit of a pain to edit. That may be not upload at all or held later because it might not be that good. But who knows? I'm just happy I got the game and Fuka's great, so that worked out well. But today, our focus is on Galloping Ghost Arcade. Like I mentioned, the Go Arcade video, which is a Wisconsin arcade, I was gonna just, do a tour video, go around the arcade, and then talk about, stuff I saw of interest there and whatnot. Problem is, I didn't upload the Go Arcade tour I filmed. I should do that. I should also film the tour I made of Galloping Ghost. Should do that. But luckily, in this episode, you're gonna get a good treat if you like, just not seeing me talk the whole time. Because, on scripted videos, I just talk and don't use much editing. But you're gonna see some overlays of some neat stuff we've seen if I talk about stuff in question, like a game or a moment or whatnot. So it should be a fun, casual ride, and I hope you like it. So, how long has this trip to Galloping Ghost been in the works? Well, I've always mentioned for years in my videos and streams that I want to go someday, but I never locked down a time or a day to go until January 2020, I want to say, when one of my online friends, who I'll call John, and that's it, nothing else, well, me and him got talking for a bit, and he lived in a town a bit far from Brookfield, I want to say. That's where the arcade is. And I was thinking about visiting him sometime because he visited me and my aunt in Wisconsin when I'd go there off and on. So that was pretty cool. And thus, I felt like I should return the favor to him someday, because I always want to go to Illinois. However, while my grandma would take me to Wisconsin or my aunt would take me to Wisconsin, grandma does not want to go to Illinois because, let's just be honest, if you watch any sort of news channel 24 hours like she does, that's 24-hour news channel, they'll tell you that Illinois is a death zone because of South Chicago being horrible and you shouldn't go. So that kind of scared her into not taking me. I still want to go anyway, but I was scared into going because I can't go on the interstate. So I just devised a very clever way to get to Illinois no matter what, and that was by train. You may be wondering, why didn't you just go to the airport, go there, and then go to the, Chicago airplane or whatever airport is closer to the friend? My answer to that, as I hinted a few times in the past, is I have a phobia of heights. Really badly. The higher I go, the more the pressure in my head builds. I get, headaches, my vision gets all foggy and blurry. I've tried for 20 years to break this habit and it just won't go away. And I don't know how to go with my fear of heights. That makes going on the plane anywhere near impossible, especially if the airport has lots of balconies and stairs and stuff. And disability advocates, got ramps and elevators all over the place, I don't think they seem to realize that there are people that just hate balconies. if I were to get off at an airport station and they had a balcony and I just stand in line for a half hour near one, I probably would panic and collapse, and I don't want to do that. So I gotta find some way to just go on a plane without having to go through the airport, but still doing airport processes because I don't want to go near stairs or heights. It's a huge pain. I do not look forward to that. But luckily, I have no need to fly anytime soon unless I want to go to Japan or United Kingdom or somewhere like that someday. So, alas, that's just how it is. Um, but yeah, train on the other hand, I never done that either. But hey, at least it's not on heights. There's really no heights on the train or getting to the train. And it's a bit slower. It's an interesting experience. Not many people in general in the United States do because our rail system is bad. So I decided to give Amtrak a shot. So in January 2020, we started planning. The plan was for me to head out in April of that year before I really did any sort of work routine and just go to the arcade for a week or weekend with my friend. And that was the plan until March 2020 happened. TurboGrafx Mini got delayed. I got mad. It was due to COVID. I did not believe COVID existed then. I thought it was a memed up virus like Zika was, and that it was bad, but like overblown compared to what actually, happens in probabilities. And then, my TurboGrafx got delayed. I got royally pissed, and then they shut down everything. And then I learned some people and some places nearby had close scares and how deadly it was. And I was like, fuck, I actually have to hold this off because it's actually a real thing that's going on. So yeah, shocked me enough, it was my grandma who kind of forbid me from going, not to the arcade. I want to say like she wouldn't let me go either, of course, because everyone with common sense wouldn't go during a pandemic a month after it started. But there was an arcade locally I wanted to go to that's like 40 miles away, and I was gonna drive, and it was right as it hit Iowa. And she verbally told me to not go under any circumstances. I threw a huge tantrum. I basically fought with her, and I wanted to go, and she won in the end, so I didn't go. And then that place had an outbreak, so thank everything, she stopped me. But yeah, that was my mindset during the pandemic start. I did not want to be changed. I did not like change. I wanted to force my way, and eventually led to my work, my first major job going like extinct after a month because they didn't adapt to COVID, and I got panic buyers flooding me in the grocery store aisles, and that's a whole mess for another time. But basically, it upended 2020. A lot of people say it was the worst year ever. 2020 was bad for me and my mental health, but I say 2019 was the worst because of the people I lost that year. Not many people I knew to the virus died from it, thankfully, so hopefully that stays true and I don't lose anyone like I did that year. But I digress. My friend was okay, isolating all that stuff. His parents were really cautious too, and they always masked up. So we both agreed we would not go until it died down. It died down a few months, right? We thought August would be the next date. August came and went. Nothing happened. It got worse. A living meme made it explode, and it kind of went everywhere, especially South states. I was still but then it'll get bad here because in November when I started another new job that seemed a lot more promising, we got an explosion of cases, and it led to a lot of people masking up, thank God. It was still scary. I didn't want to go, so we said let's just do it next May when the vaccines are available. And so happened. Iowa had bad cases, lots of deaths. I was glad me and Grandma avoided that. Everyone I knew stayed safe and protected. My friend John stayed safe and protected too. And we struggled it out. And in the new year, we hoped it would get better. And then the vaccines rolled out. I got Grandma vaccinated ASAP, was relieved. I got myself vaccinated as soon as I started my third job, which is going amazingly. It's the full-time job I mentioned now. So that was great. They also gave me paid time off for the vaccine. Not that I really care, but it's a good place to do that, I say. So yeah, things were looking up. We both got vaccinated. My dad still won't get vaccinated because he's dumb. I'm saying that publicly, but yes, if you aren't vaccinated and you should get vaccinated, get vaccinated. That goes for all my listeners too. Just get vaccinated even if you had it before. Just do it. Takes no time at all. You can do it on a weekend after work. You can just do it. There's no excuse not to. Just do it so this all ends for everyone peacefully so it doesn't, get to be Herman Cain Awards like every single month. But I digress. Everyone with common sense I knew got a vaccine. My friend and his family got a vaccine. So it was just now open to availability because I was now a full-time job. So I got the hours needed in like July, August, but I had to get to the train station, and the train station was a 30-minute drive. My grandma wanted me to, take me, so I, know what to expect and whatnot going to the train station. And, she was nice enough to do that, and we had a good time getting there. So we did it in, I think, the 23rd, the week of the 23rd of September, which was almost a month ago as of this video's upload. So yeah, on the Thursday, it was an early morning. I pre-ordered my tickets a month ago, told John he was okay with it. We got my luggage bags. I got 2 bags because I didn't want to take all the ones I normally do in my vacation cabin. But I stuffed it with video games I need, systems I want, some stuff I want to show John, etc., etc. I didn't have room to put my Pokemon cards in though because of all the stuff I put in, so I had to tell him, sorry, we can't play Pokemon cards. That'll be funny a bit later, because I had to put my camera in too. No tripod, and the battery charger I did bring, but I forgot to charge it before we went to the arcade, so I don't have much footage for my camera of it. My phone looked, and I should have just taken my phone if I'm looking back now, but either way, I got on the train as soon as it came. Everything was a go. Had to make sure my 3 bags were with me. Well, my 2 bags. I get a third bag later. But yeah, I had to make sure all my bags were accounted for. All my items were accounted for. And yeah, I just got on the train. And then they escorted me upstairs. On a train I bought a ticket for the bottom floor of. Needless to say, my fear of heights kicked in immediately. I was terrified. But they just forced me up the stairs, and since it was luckily enclosed and not that high of a height, I was able to get used to it. I just had to avoid looking at the windows. And 2 hours in, I was used to it. So thank goodness the train experience, even on heights, was way better than I think a plane experience would be, where if I looked outside the window of a plane, I'd have an aneurysm. So the journey began. I had some great times, just relaxing, playing my Switch. I had the audio off though, because there's Bluetooth support now. I carry a lot of controllers with me, and they'd always bump, so whenever one would turn on, it would just, mess with my game. So I just used airplane mode, which is the best way to do if you have a lot of controllers being rattled around the bag near you. And that was good. I couldn't listen to my music or game sound, because, I could have, I didn't want to get in trouble on the train, so I just, mind my own business, had fun with the sound and whatnot, and eventually I, found out I was going to have a seatmate, and I am very shy with strangers, and I don't like talking to them. Thank God I did not have a seatmate, because the seatmate came by later, a nice old lady, but she had a husband. The husband was like, hey, you're in my seat. And I was like, I'm not, it's my seat. I pointed to my seat. The train aide was like, oh yeah, you guys are over here now. So I was by myself, a dream come true. No one to bother me, just how I like it. So I put the rest of my bags in the seat next to me to blockade it, and then I just sat, played my game, played Sodam, mostly a puzzle game I'm going to cover later on this channel, and just some other fun stuff on my Switch, and then in 5 hours, I was in Illinois, Naperville. I got off the train with both my bags, I saw my friend in the car, we said hello, we got in together, and we drove to his nice house, which was really nice and fancy. I'm not going to show much of anything from it in this video for his respect and sake, though you might see, when I do the reaction to the Direct, because yeah, the day before the train ride, the Nintendo Direct was announced for that month for the day I got there. So me and John got to watch the Nintendo Direct live, and the last time we did that together was E3 2019, when he visited me in Wisconsin. So that was a pretty great hype moment. As soon as we got home, we introduced each other, I met his parents, good folk, I unpacked, and we watched Nintendo Direct and I filmed it live. That should be a bit of a while to edit and get approval on the upload, but it's still pretty darn fun, I have to say. And even though there's some stuff I don't think I cared much for there, and it's not the biggest ding, especially since some stuff about stuff they announced is now known and it's not the best, it was still good Direct. We had hype moments. Chocobo GP made both of us happy. The N64 Online made both of us happy. I don't know if he's happy with the pricing of it now, but I was still pretty impressed nevertheless. And I lost an art bit because I doubted Nintendo 64 games would ever come to Switch, so I bet that I'd draw myself chewing my brakes and tail if that failed. I drew it. So, needless to say, it was a fun first day. Just me and the family. And then the Castlevania Collection and Advanced Collection came out that same day, so hey, I had a new game to play as soon as they ended the conference. they made some chicken for me, and I like chicken strips, but they put this weird dressing on it I wasn't familiar with that made it spicy. And I hate trying new foods and mixtures, and I hate condiments, but I ended up really liking it, like a lot. So I got the recipe for my grandma to do later. I did get use some of the recipe to like make the panko crust. We use panko crumbs to cover the strips. At least that's what me, grandma, and their family does. And like we did that, but they put parmesan to make it stick together, and that's what I've done so far since. But not the spicy sauce that made it spicy but good. I had a good time. Talked to some Discord friends that night. I just got to casually play my game, stay up a bit past my bedtime so I could play more Castlevania Circle of the Moon, which I'm doing for the first time ever because I played the other three games via the Wii U. But yeah, that was a great first day. We just got there, got to know each other, got to talk, just see each other, and be impressed by his house and the great guest service I got. I got a nice bedroom all to myself that I could just sleep in. And then the next day, it was arcade time, which was a bit weird because, we had to wake up and, do routine. So I woke up early. I told my friend's mom that, hey, I have a sugar diet. So, could you maybe make sure that, like, I have stuff that's not too sugary? And she was like, oh, yeah, John is diabetic. So, I have to make sure it's okay with him. And he has some stuff that you might like too. So I was able to get stuff for my sugar diet, and I got homemade waffles with maple syrup from maple trees, and it was like the best kind of waffles I had ever. Cause I just normally have Eggo waffles and Pearl Milling Company syrup, and it's like good, but eating the same thing over and over and over again made me so sick of it. I got Magic Spoon this week, so I could not eat that. I've had that for 6 months daily on the weekdays without a break, so I'm happy to no longer have waffles to depend on. But their waffles was amazing, kind of made it hard to go back to Eggo, which is why I changed my food in the mornings. But yeah, homemade waffles to start the day off. Talked with John after he woke up. We just talked and played a bit. And then eventually he showed off some Pokemon code cards and trading cards he bought me over the months, and we opened them up. Had fun trading card game online, just opening them up. I talked to my family, said I was doing okay. Then around noon, we left his house to go on a 1 hour drive to the main attraction, the Galloping Ghost. Now, for those who are not initiated and why I was excited to go to this arcade specifically, it's the world's biggest arcade in the world, at least one of the video game arcades that's the biggest. So I was excited. There were lots of games I covered on this channel, games I wanted to cover. I thought I could get footage of all the games I wanted to, so I could use as B-roll, have a great time, authenticity, all that fun stuff. But I gotta say, when I got there was some disappointments we had. Not saying the place is bad, but there was, some bummers. But I got lots of good stuff, had lots of great time memories, just makes me want to go back, which made me realize it's a tourist trap more than an arcade that specializes in preservation. So we got there around 1:30, and one of the first things we did was we looked around the arcade, hence the tour I'm gonna mess with sometime. And we just went around. I was impressed by the cool stuff they had. They had lots of Psycheo games, Capcom games, Konami games, Taito games, Nintendo games. Almost every major company you can think of had games there. Didn't see much from Jadico or MMK, to be honest. More the Nisha developers. I only saw Crazy Climber from Nichibutsu, but not many of their other games. And there was just, I don't think I saw a single UPL game there the whole time, now that I think about it. So some obscure ass games are still not there, even though they get a lot of Japanese imports. But one of the games I longed to play in arcades as my introduction to it was my dream game, the one I wanted to go to first and play first, Salamander 2. Salamander 1's one of my favorite games of all time. Salamander 2's not been ported much at all except for the PSP. I haven't gotten that PSP version yet, but I was going to play in an arcade and play the first Salamander 2. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna play Salamander 2 as soon as I pay for my pass for the day. But of course, me and John played some 1942 and 3 first, because that was fun and familiar. We both had good times with that. Then I went to the other side, and before I went to Salamander, I saw this strange arcade game I never heard of before. At least, I heard of it before, but only in faint mumblings and, passings. A strange Jadico game known as Chimera Beast, which looked to be this weird, grotesque shooter that took place inside cellular systems. It was like, this is weird. It's like Saint Dragon, but on crack. The color scheme was all weird. It was just a trippy game all around. I started playing it, was just mesmerized and confused by it all. It was like, I couldn't explain anything that was going on. It was like, what was this game? I gotta make a video on this. So I looked up info and it was a cancelled video game. One of the few PCBs of the completed prototype made it to the arcade. And I thought that was cool, and I tweeted about it, and one of my friends tweeted, one of the leads on the game, I kid you not, one of the leads in the game found out it was at the arcade. And it led to kind of a funny conversation between me and him, because apparently it was not authorized to, the board's leaked. That's kind of, not authorized to begin with. But he was not happy that the arcade made a big deal about pushing it as a main attraction and making fan art for it on the cabinet without consent from the artist and stuff, and just really doing a whole bunch of stuff with the cabinet that was not official because it was not with consent of the IP holder because it was an unreleased game technically. That's a whole weird random bag of worms I'm not the best advised on. But I get his point because, if you made something, you helped get it out in some Japanese arcades as a special promotion a few years ago. You make the soundtrack available on iTunes. You want, stuff to do with it. You want more people to know how to play it. And so when someone gets the game and just puts it in the machine without the knowledge, it makes you kind of not happy. Especially when there was apparently glitches with the machine that I found out thanks to him. One of my friends flew it into MAME and found out that, the first stage is supposed to be light blue. No, the arcade machine I was on had everything, the greens turned up all the way, so it was, green. And it was just, that helped with the trippiness, but it's not what the game's supposed to look like. So it looks like the CRT is about to die, which is, not good. But I get the developer. But we talked to him, and he's on Twitter. I talked to him about all the fun stuff I did that day, and he found some moments amusing. Some which I'm going to tell you, so I can tell you what we all found amusing that day. So after playing that trippy, weird game, I went straight to my main attraction. After passing the Tana Trinby and some Gradius games, Salamander and Salamander 2. Now, Galloping Ghost does this weird thing where they put two machines in, one cabinet, and so they, add a button to switch the PCBs. I don't know if it was the button that caused this or just bad PCBs in general, but as soon as I started Salamander 2 with the switch button, it just spammed the crack noise non-stop, and the control stick acted like it was drifting and held down, and the buttons didn't work, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is unplayable. I can't hear the epic music, I can't hear anything, it's the crack sound stuck on a loop, it's glitching out, I can't control it, why? And that is where depression sunk in. My biggest hype game was just busted. Control stick was stuck down, the game wouldn't work, we tried switching it, we tried all the certain combinations to playing it, it just would not work. It would not work. And I was so pissed. Just pissed beyond belief. So needless to say, I was incredibly upset, and I just switched to Salamander 1 and started playing it like I always did. Use the trick to get all the lives before the final stage so that you have enough to survive. Then my friend, after playing some Gradius 2, which was his favorite, he joined me. I died, he had some lives left, and he just barely beat the final boss of Salamander in the arcades. And that was just a great moment that mostly made up for the Salamander 2 not working, but still, what the hell, get the Salamander 2 working, Galloping Ghost. But we saw some other games like the awful Gradius 4, Space Invaders, Burger Time, Smash TV, so many to list. I'll just share some highlights. But we talked to one of the arcade managers, and I was like, hey, why is this machine not working? And he's like, oh machines are blacked out, aren't working, just don't work. We have to fix them later. It's like, oh. But there's some cool stuff I heard about in passing I want to try out, like Ninja Gaiden Arcade. I have the Arcade Archives version. I should play the real cabinet. Nope, it was not in active use. Okay, how about Castlevania the Arcade, a cool light gun whip game from Konami in 2008 that has remixes in Smash? Nope, out of service. What about one of the R-type games I saw that was not really working well? And it was like, nope, out of service. Well, and the biggest one I was wondering was the one that made news last year for being introduced during a pretty dumb time, if I may admit, with the pandemic. The R360 G-Lock Air Battle. Nope, only for holidays. Yep, it kinda confirmed then and there my suspicions about the place being a tourist trap. You can only see some of the machines on holidays or when they feel like it. Like, yeah, my arcade does the same thing where they rotate stuff out now and then, but like, you're the world's biggest video game arcade, you have the space, put the weird games out! Like, even if they're broken, put them out so at least they can see the cabinets. I got snuck a few pictures in now and then, but even then, like, come on, it was silly. So I was disappointed, but I still saw some rarities, like the Sega Holocene, like FMV games. I got to play the one with the time traveler. There was a fighting game I didn't touch, but like it was really weird and trippy. I can see why it's not ported. It's not that good, but like got to see that. I saw some like Valve arcade ports from China. I saw the famous Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, which I played here today, or that day, with my friend John, and that was good. But it was time for me to just walk around in general and see what there was to offer. And so we just went about playing games. I mentioned some of these games already. There's some highlights above here that are showing some of the stuff that we played. My favorite moment, I want to say one of my favorite moments, came from arm wrestling, Nintendo's weird Punch-Out spin-off that was like arm wrestling themed. It was only in MAME. They've never made an Arcade Archives port. I don't know why. Now I know why after playing it, because Jesus, the amount of stick smashing and button tapping you have to do is like super exhausting. And like, even though it's not an arm like you wrestle, it's still just as exhausting as the real thing. I made it up to stage 3 before I lost, but it was like really, really tiring. And I have to say, if this was on Switch, I think all the Joy-Cons in the world would just drift at the same time, because it's just so taxing on a controller. I could imagine how it would be on any but an arcade machine, and probably why you don't see them much is probably because they all broke. Anyways, after the fun arm wrestling machine and going around checking stuff I thought looked cool or stuff I was familiar with, like Puzzle Fighter 2, Columns, etc., we basically just walked around and had our own fun. My friend John played Tubin from Midway for a good 20 minutes or so. We all tried some of the other machines around, like this weird FMV Lupin Dirt game, which I did hear about before, and yep, it's an FMV game alright, with lots of inputs and really picky. And a weird dub, which kind of makes it interesting, because I think it's one of the first anime-related arcade games ever, and it was made here, which is kind of cool. Besides that, though, not much else I have to really say, except for how it all came to end the first part of our trip to Galloping Ghost. I was playing Haunted Castle, which is another game I wanted to get footage of and pictures of because I want to do a retrospective on it. It's a Castlevania arcade game that they did have out, thankfully. And I know it's pretty okay on the Switch. It's really hard and nonsense. So I decided to try my best. I made it to the end of the first stage. It was thunderstorming in the game. Afterwards, it clears up. You fight Medusa. And I began to fight Medusa. And as I was in the middle of fighting her, a power surge just blew, and my machine went blank, and all 800 or so machines in the whole arcade went blank, including John's Tubin that he was unable to complete because it killed his one. But yeah, all 800 machines just died at once, turned back on, and it was just weird. I thought when I walked around, I saw some guy with a microphone. I thought, did he really just kill the machines for a microphone? But it was sunny outside, so I had no idea what caused it. But needless to say, me and John thought, why might as well go out and eat and check the pinball arcade that's nearby. So yeah, we went to the Pinball Galloping Ghost arcade, which isn't as big as the arcade game arcade, but still has some cool pinball tables. I thought they had Super Mario Bros. There, but I guess not. But they did have Baby Pac-Man, which I wanted to play for years because I heard there was Pac-Man and pinball mixed together. It's not that great. The pinball is kind of very basic, and the Pac-Man is really, really, really tough because it wants the money. It's not really the best, but I got to try a few other gamey pinball game hybrids there, so that was pretty fun. So yeah, me and John both played some pinball, had a good time, so I wouldn't necessarily say I'd be desperate to go out there again because of the small amount of pinball tables, but they were good pinballs, so hey. But I'm content going home in my state to play pinball instead of going to Illinois for pinball. So we just went to a local pizza place, ate some good food, and then we went all the way back to arcade to see how things were and if the power outage was fixed, and it was, except to my dismay, some of the games I went to try and play later were killed for the day by that power surge. The Tana Twinbee was gone, Powered Gear was glitchy, and I even got this footage of Half-Life 2, which was just going apeshit because of the power surge. I don't know how that would affect the games. I hope it doesn't brick any of them forever, but some of the games that were fine earlier are just fine no more. Luckily, one of the ones that was still working was Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, the world famous, infamous trackball Sonic game that has never been ported, and people hoped for a port, and then it got the Gems collection, but then they cut it, which made no sense to people. So me and Jean decided to play co-op and see how far we could get, and we ended up just playing until we got a bad ending, and it's a mesmerizing experience, and it kind of guess I might as well talk about here since I'm not going to really record footage of it any other way, or really know what to do about Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, so I guess I can't make no memories on it. So, yeah, it's a trackball game, and normally I'm like, oh, just put it on a joystick, even if it's weird, or make it a touchscreen game. But after playing it, no, it is a trackball game. You need the trackball. You just spin and like spin and like go rapid on that trackball and almost abuse the porting just to do quick time events, weird swift turns, gain speed. It's a really hectic game that wants the money, to say the least, and it shows. So yeah, it's a pretty typical arcade game fare. You can get wings, and if you keep the wings, you can get high scores with the wings. So there is a score chasing element, but it's not that strong. Seems just be more of an interactive co-op wide of sorts, I guess. So yeah, me and John played it, ended up playing all the main stages, and then I died on the final stage, and it disables continues after a certain point in the stage. So it's up to John to do an escape sequence, where you have to escape from Eggman's Volcano Island, and he just mashed the trackball as fast as he could, and he still ran out of time, and the bad ending happened, and you have to do the whole game from the beginning just to get another shot. So it's one of those games. But nevertheless, it was a fun experience, even if I wouldn't say it's worth playing. Like, it's good, it looks cool, and I think that's why so many people want to play it. But the quick time event focus and the whole trackball mash fest makes it not that fun to play. It's not a good score chaser. I can see why they didn't release outside Japan for maybe runs. I actually like that puzzle game they canceled more. So, yeah, that's Sega Sonic the Hedgehog played, and we had a good time with it, but it's not something I want to do again, I guess. If it got home port, I'd buy it, but otherwise, not that really desirable. I got my fill, in other words. But yeah, afterwards it started to wane, so John figured we might as well go home early, but I want to get two things done before we did. I wanted to try the original Street Fighter on an arcade machine to see how far I could get. Not far, the controls are still as weird as they always were, but it was nice to play the game on an original cabinet. And Galaxy Force 2, which is a game I loved on the 3DS, and I wanted to play in the molder machine to see how it moved and stuff. Fortunately, it didn't move. The motor was disabled, probably because it was all noisy and stuff. But it was still cool. I got to move all the sticks, play the game in the original arcade cabinet. It was really neat, and I at least able to get that experience nonetheless. There was also F-Zero AX, which I forgot my GameCube memory card, and also I didn't know what to do with it, so I didn't get to play it. So many games I wanted to play, like Midnight Resistance and whatnot, I wanted to play, but I just didn't. So before I left, I did make sure to beeline over the monkey ball, which was still working thankfully, and I got to at least play until I died to see how how it went. But all in all, that's it for the Galloping Ghost. Not much really to say. It was just a lot of arcade games, a tourist trap, unfortunately, but they had a great lineup, lots of fun, and if you're in the area, yeah, I can imagine having a blast paying $20 to play all those games the whole day. The whole weird power surge, some games just not really working, some games that got disabled and they didn't seem to want to fix right away. It just made me realize that it wasn't as hyped as it meant to be. It's a great place, but it's definitely one they want the money for, and they want you to keep coming back on the holidays and stuff to see all the games, which I think is stupid, so bit of a disappointment, but bit of a fun time, and I got to play some good games and have some good memories. So with that out of the way, we went home, played some more games, relaxed, and then it was the final day, Saturday, which is the last day of my vacation. And this is when we went around town, just had a good time, and I got to see just Northwest Illinois in general. I got to go to some old card shops, I got a nice Intellion deck, which even though I didn't bring a card deck with me, I did so I could play with John, and we had a good time. And Intellion is my spy, my favorite spy Pokemon, my favorite Galar Pokemon. So anything with that handsome Lizardon is good enough for me. So no, I got to play with the deck. I got to look around town a bit. We went to some stores, went to some Best Buys that were oddly cleaned out more than I thought they'd ever be, which kind of scared me. I guess scalpers got to them for whatever reason. So we went to some Best Buys, then we went to some local old GameStop. Not stop. Well, we did go to GameStop. Then we went to an old game shop I heard about. And before then, we went to a store next door to one of the card shops that had old games in it. I had an NES collection, and so I looked for an NES controller, and I found an NES Max. And I was like, oh, cool, I love NES Max. I'll go take it home because that's the only NES controller type I don't have. So, I bought it along with a Pokemon card I wanted. I think, no, instead of a Pokemon card, I bought a Game Gear game called Marble Madness. Because, I like Game Gear. I have one that works somehow, so I got that and an NES controller. So, those were fine enough for me. Then we went to an old GameStop shop I heard about from them. It turned out it wasn't a game shop at first. It was more or less an old record store. My friend loved it, but as someone who only knows J-pop, I knew none of the people in the records, so I was like, I don't know what to really do here. But then my friend talked and rambled a lot with this owner, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. But then the owner was like, oh, that is really cool, and so I kind of got in because I couldn't resist. And then afterwards, I kid you not, he was like, oh, hey guys, I have some games in the back, so let's look at them. So yeah, there was an old GameCube collection he was planning to sell to someone. I got to go through them, see what games I wanted to buy, and I got to see Ribbit King, which I thought was, pretty fine. And then it was like an absurdly weird game, and I was like, excuse me, it's just a frog golf game. So that was fun. There's some other games there too. I almost got Mario Party 6, but $75 was a lot to ask for. So I just got Super Monkey Ball for $30. The remake came out later that week. I didn't mind, because hey, I got to get one of the cool GameCube games I never got growing up in my collection. So a tour around town was great. Then we went on a Pokemon Go walk, had a good time there. Ate again, had a good time there. And then we ended the whole night and trip in general by really just staying over. And me, John, and his family watched a movie I brought along, one of my favorite Japanese movies, Sukuban Decker the Movie 2, which was a Japanese action movie I like, and I'm planning to hopefully cover on this segment someday. But basically, it's just a cool J-drama based on a TV show I hope gets picked up for Blu-ray sometime over here, or like a DVD. And it was just a good, fun watch all around. It's always good. I've only seen it twice compared to the first movie, which is why I only did a second movie. But yeah, the whole family liked it. It was really nice to just watch a movie I was into with people who didn't know it before that got into it just like I did. So that was a great way to end the weekend. Last but not least, Sunday. Well, I woke up, got to go on a Pokemon Go walk one more time. I ate some good waffles from his mom once again, and then we made sure everything was packed and ready to go until I realized a big dilemma. I couldn't pack because the stuff I bought and the Pokemon cards I bought would not fit. So luckily, his mom got all these bags out that I used for my game systems, and I was able to fit everything in. So we got on the train, I got on safely, and the journey home began. And then I got picked up by Grandma, and I fell asleep immediately and was off to my work the next day as if nothing happened. So that does it for my trip to Illinois. Just a fun trip, got to see a friend, have Nintendo Direct fun, go Galloping Ghost, lots of fun memories. It's just a nice fun trip overall, and Galloping Ghost, you probably already want to go if you heard of it, but if you want my opinion on the arcade as a whole, great lineup, fun place, one call it the best maintained arcade, and I definitely think it's a tourist trap, which is probably a problem for people who, maybe it's from out of the country, and then they want to play one game, and then that game was out of rotation. That would suck. Like Salamander 2, my game I wanted to play was broken, and that sucked big time. I'm still mad about that if I'm being honest. But I digress. Either way, the whole trip was fun, and it was just worth it to go visit my friend. That ended up being the most important part of the whole experience in the end, rather than the arcade. I still want to go back to the arcade someday, no doubt, but I think I got my fill for a while. I can just go to my local arcade, I guess, and hope to get the games I want someday to film. But alas, that'll do it for this retrospective on the arcade. I thought about doing the Nintendo Direct. I already mentioned that Nintendo 64 and the Chocobo GP. That's pretty much the only major highlights for us. Those two things. Everything else was kind of typical, and for me it was a 6 out of 10 Direct. I want to learn more about Nintendo 64 stuff. And as I'm filming this, they just revealed the price, which is $50 a year for the Nintendo 64 bundle. And a lot of people are bitching, saying, why is Virtual Console dead? But, like, I don't like the price either, but Virtual Console died because no one bought it. You should have bought it when it was on Wii and 3DS. They shifted to this because it makes them more money. I just hope they update more than quarterly, because I swear to God, every 3 months for new Super Nintendo and NES games, as much as I like the obscure picks, is dreadful. They had weekly releases on the Wii and Wii U. So I hope they pick up the pace for Genesis and N64, because my God, it's a drought. But at least there's the retro compilations to keep me busy and whatnot. And Sora from Kingdom Hearts was announced in a conference. They announced in the Direct, and then a few weeks later the conference happened. So now Sora's the final Smash character, and I'm super happy about that. So it was good overall, even if Made Nintendo 64 stuff wasn't as, I guess, hype as I hoped for. There was a rumor about Game Boy games, and that didn't come true, so I guess it was bogus or held off for later. I don't know, but either way, I say it's iffy. Either way, though, it's still pretty fun and enjoyable, and the whole trip was just good overall. I've been busy with work since then, but hey, I had a bit of time to film this finally and get to tell you guys what I did over the weekend, that weekend in September. And so, yeah, another unscripted memories out of the bag, and I'm gonna hopefully work more on eternal memories in the future to get those done finally. So, yeah, take care and be safe, everyone, and bye.